Well, what an intro to... Good. We wanted to play that a second time. Good evening and welcome to the Football Out West Show. It's episode 89. Thank you for joining us. And only in their third year of existence, Western United have made it through to the big dance, the A-League Grand Final. My name is Tonchi Prusak, and joining me, Craig and Steve. Good evening, gents. What a weekend of football. It's just, we've got to take a break. How much is happening and how much is going to happen in tonight's show? Firstly, Craig, good evening to you. How are you?
Good evening, Tonch. Good evening, Steve. Good evening, listeners. Yes, I'm very well. Thank you. Thawed out a little bit, been out this afternoon and watched a little bit of junior NPL football. But back in the nice warm now, and the missus has got the heating cranked up because she's just come in. Now I'm bloody boiling. So if I do pass out, you know the reasons why.
It's winter, gents. We've all been out and about commentating this weekend. Steve, how are you? What did you get up to? Which games did you commentate this weekend?
Good, thanks. Thanks, Tonchi. And we do know that Craig is wearing a pair of shorts under that desk there as well to keep the pins cool. So we did catch a glimpse of those in the pre-production meeting. But yeah, big weekend this weekend. We got out to the second versus third place clash in NPL Victoria, Green Gully and Oakley Cannons on Friday. And that match, well, it didn't quite live up to the high hopes we had for it, but I'm sure they might meet again in the finals and thrash it out in an even more exciting contest. So I got to that one, and then a lot of time on the couch, actually. I think I've worn a bit of an imprint on the couch this weekend watching football matches. But
being a couch potato, that's unlike you, Stephen.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing for a change. So yeah, excited. And welcome to everyone who's tuning in tonight, and big shout out to Kate and Clint in the comments, getting very excited already about the grand final next weekend.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic. We'll talk a lot about everything that is going on and what is going to happen tonight. But Craig, let us in on our guests tonight. It just reads like a who's who of the local footballing world. Starting in the extra time.
Yeah, look, in the extra time, we've got a new. He was on a few weeks ago. Actually, it says head coach of Westgate, but he's moved on and he's now the head coach at NPL side Hume City, who had a fantastic result last night against Altona Magic. So we've got Goran Lozanovsky, who's going to join us and talk about his first week or so in the role up at Hume City. And then joining us in the second part of the show, it's all Western United, given the fact that obviously they're going to play their first grand final. As you said, Tonch, only been in existence for 3 years, but it's a fantastic story, and we're going to hear from Western United midfielder and what would you class him as, the all-round midfield?
Yeah, the midfield general. We'll call him the midfield general.
Neil Kilkenny, he'll be joining us. Yeah, that should be great. And a friend of the show's who's been on here quite regularly, Chris PEHLIVANIS, always happy to come on the show and always happy to divulge what is happening behind the scenes. So he obviously will be looking at next week, but he'll also be looking at the months ahead as the off season for administrators. I think, Steve, the off season becomes the busy season, doesn't it? Because you start planning them for the following year, and you cannot rest on your laurels, no matter the result of next Saturday's grand final. Hey.
That's right, mate. And some good comments coming in from we've got a really good audience tonight. A good comment from Alex Zivkorowski coming in too. But Tonchi, we forgot to ask you how things are going at your end this weekend.
Oh, it's been a busy weekend. Yeah, I was out last night, actually down in Geelong. I had a huge day. I was actually watching a State League 2 game. It was quite brutal at times. Geelong Rangers chalked up their first win in a 3-0 win over Western Suburbs. So it was kind of the Western Zone derby, if you like. Their first win of the season. I had to report that for the Geelong Advertiser, but I didn't get to see the third goal to dash over to Hume Reserve, to the wonderful new club rooms at Hume Reserve, to take in the Geelong Galaxy Preston Lions VPLW clash. And gents, let me just say this. Preston Lions women, they do not deserve to be in the VPLW. They are an NPLW side out and out. 8-1 thrashing over a Galaxy side that have been, fourth this year? But there's a young lass, Rachel Sturton, the striker. She bagged 5 goals, was in everything, probably could have had another 3 or 4. But the Galaxy keeper was quite good. Evie Bowen, I think her name is. So I
know Evie very well. Yep.
Yeah, very, very. It was very cold. Once the once the sun went down, it was absolutely freezing, and like it has been. It's been a really good winter. But gents, let's take a quick break. We're gonna our sponsors, Caroline Springs George Cross Football Club. They are home of the Georges on Vista Bistro. They are our major sponsors in 2022, and we wouldn't be able to do this show, quite frankly, without their generous support. So to everyone at Georges on Vista and Caroline Springs George Cross Football Club, a big, big thank you. And we're going to take a little bit of a commercial break, and when we return, it's straight into the news desk. Don't go away, folks.
You find authentic Maltese cuisine? At Georges on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. We have a menu to suit everyone, which includes kids and seniors meals, and a cocktail list that will need you to come back several times to get through. Our specialty nights are a big hit. Tuesday is $20 Palmer night with a selection of Palmers to choose from. Kids eat free Wednesday night. With every paid adult meal, you get 1 free kids meal. Thursday is Maltese night. Check out the Maltese specials on our specials board. And Friday night we have happy hour between 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Be sure to book your table to avoid disappointment. Bookings can be made via our website, georgesonvista.com.au. See you at Georges on Vista. You'll find us at Caroline Springs George Cross.
All right, well, it's news time. And Football Out West show, it is Sunday, the 22nd of May, 22. So there's a similarity in that particular date. But we're going to talk about what's happened in the A-Leagues first on the weekend. Will we start with the game from last night or the game from this afternoon?
Let's do the one. Well, let's go in chronological order. We'll talk about the game from last night. Yeah.
All right. So Victory's home leg in this one, but obviously both games played at Amy Park. and going in with that 1-goal advantage courtesy of a wonder strike from Jake Bremer in the first leg that saw them win that one 1-0. Certainly were hot favourites, and it was going to be a matter of just Victory just holding West United out and then getting one on the break. That didn't happen that way, though, because Alexander Prijovic got on the end of a Connor Payne cross and scored on 18 minutes before Jake Bremer levelled things up with his second goal of the tie. What a great free kick that was. Then Prijovic set up by Dylan Wenzel-Halls on 49 minutes to put Western back in front. Lockie Wales, on the night at least, Lockie Wales putting them in front on aggregate in the 78th minute, set up by Alexander Prijovic, that man again, before Wenzel-Halls finished things off for once and all in the 99th minute. So wild celebrations, the coaches on the field and people going nuts there, as you can see in that picture there. So a big occasion and a good atmosphere there, and well done, I suppose, to the Victory fans who really were in full voice. And our man Brenton Ray was honoured on the big screen there as the fan of the season for Melbourne Victory.
He was
indeed. A big congratulations to Brenton. That's it. There's the picture there.
That's a pretty mean effort. I mean, member of the year. I mean, how many members do they have? Actually, how many members does Victory have?
4.
4 members. No, seriously, is it 24?
It is. I would imagine it's up there, 24,
25,000 or something.
Yeah.
25,000. Look, whatever it is, that is a pretty darn good effort. And look, just apart from his devotion to Melbourne Victory, we know that the Ray man also is unbelievably, like, he's more of a football nutter than we are, gents. He spends most of his weekends, I think, collating results and sending it through and putting it up on the Northwestern Football Victoria Facebook page. How he gets results that, the Football Victoria ladders, the official Football Victoria ladders, aren't even updated, or the scores aren't even updated, but he gets them. That's how devoted he is. So
he does a great job for community football in Victoria, but I'm sure he's listening tonight. I'd just like to know what he's doing next Saturday. He won't be going up to Amy Park, will he?
I'm sure he'll be spending some quality time at Hoppers Crossing Soccer Club.
And the irony is the trains are back on next week.
Yeah.
Can't get a break at the moment, but that's a very well-deserved accolade, and congratulations, Brenton. The other game took place this afternoon. That was a thriller too. Went 120 minutes with extra time after it was tied 1-1 at full time. A really audacious goal by Adelaide United midfielder Zach Clough on 48 minutes. That was a beauty. And then, of course, it had to be Marco Tilio coming off the bench to score on 74 minutes. He has to be the best A-League player not to be in a regular starting 11. And then Jamie McLaren scoring the most Jamie McLaren-esque goal that he could have possibly scored, a couple of ricochets in the penalty area before he slotted home the winner in the 92nd. Adelaide United pretty much collapsed like wet cardboard after that. They couldn't get the ball forward and create anything, and that meant that City went on to hold on and go through to the grand final. Any thoughts on the games, fellas?
Look, third consecutive grand final. They are very experienced, coming up against their maiden grand final. So Melbourne City versus Western United. I think we all wanted a all Melbourne grand final, and that's precisely what we got. So I think without Victory, one could always worry that the Amy Park would not be filled to capacity. But look, I think there will be a lot of people. There'll be a lot of football fans. There'll be a lot of neutrals. There'll be a lot of corporates, I'm sure, filling out the stands. So look, we can expect there will be a healthy crowd. Probably a lot of disillusioned Western United fans that have dropped off the bus in recent seasons will probably be persuaded to go back. Melbourne City hasn't really had a huge following, but I mean, for a grand final, they could expect anywhere between 8 to 10, you'd say, Steve. So look, I think Amy Park next Saturday night, perfect kickoff time and everything. I think it will be solidly full, and I think it will really be a great spectacle. But look, we'll talk to Neil Kilkenny a little bit later on in the show as far as the on-field side of things are concerned. And one player that they will definitely have to put the shackles on will be Jamie McLaren, who's just an absolute class for the Australian game. So it will be very, very interesting. What about yourself, Steve? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, firstly, one of the things I've been thinking about is that this is a new finals format we've come up with this season, and there's been a little bit of criticism of those midweek games in the first leg of the semi-final ties, but I think it's been a really good and effective format, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see it again next season. The two-legged semi-final ties have been gripping in both instances, both of them very very exciting, and it's not. I think playing the matches within the week, it sort of should give that higher ranked team a little bit of an advantage with a bit more of a rest as well. Obviously playing that home leg second, but it doesn't stretch out the finals an extra week and make it kind of too long and risk it becoming a bit of a yawnathon. Just compressing them into that week is a good thing. And look, I think maybe too much has been made of focusing on crowd numbers because we've seen that's a byproduct of a number of things, but the football this season has been a little bit negative in the home and away season. That's probably an understatement, but the quality of football in the final series has been, and the entertainment factor has been something that's really passed the pub test. I'd have no problems taking my friends and family to watch these games as they've been in the finals because the quality's been there. And I can't always say that about A-League matches.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot more about the A-League in our second half of the show tonight in the press box when it is in effect an all Western United affair. We've got Neil Kilkenny, versatile midfielder, and we've also got Craig. We just lost Craig there. And then we've also got Chris PEHLIVANIS, the CEO, joining us. But now we're going to turn our attention, gents, to the NPL Victoria. And Craig, on the line, we've got our first guest for tonight, GORAN LOZANOVSKI. Is that right? Is Goran there?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Good evening, Goran. It's great to have you there. How are you, mate? How's things?
Yeah, no, not too bad, mate. Just really enjoying my couple of weeks, mate, getting back into the NPL.
All right. Well, I'll introduce we're talking about the NPL now. You've recently been appointed to Hume City. What are your first impressions of Hume City before we go on about last night's game, which was a brilliant one? But overall, how are you fitting in at Hume City? And it is traditionally quite a strong club, but they've really been struggling this year. And what were some of the things that you wanted to address in your first few weeks as manager or as coach at Hume City?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, look, I have been at the club in previous times, probably going back a good 10, 11 years ago. Obviously coached them as North Coburg back then when they eventually made VPL. Obviously over a decade ago now, but club's changed a lot since I was their last manager, and it's just got fantastic facilities now, and the ground is immaculate. So first class setup, most definitely, and I think that was part of the draw card of me going back into NPL and having those professional setup as a football club. It's A1 behind the scenes, and there's a starting point there. And obviously the club hasn't had a great start this year, and I just felt like that one, complex facilities is great, but then two, I thought the club's just got a great opportunity in the playing group to survive this year and obviously rebuild and grow into the following season. So it's been an interesting couple of weeks. Obviously my first week was a cup game and then a league game, and obviously had a full week of training this week with obviously a game against my old club, Altona Magic, and so far it's been good, but a lot of hard work ahead, that's for sure.
Steve.
Okay, I'll ask you, Goran, about one of your players who actually come off the bench last night, and it's Danny Dixon. His impact on the squad, obviously, he's come through an extraordinary time in his life, just recovering from chemotherapy, back out there playing in the recent weeks. How does he influence the squad, and what is his role in the squad, and how do the boys back him up?
Yeah, obviously, Dicko has gone through a lot over the last past 7, 8, 9 months, probably 10 months. And, since I've been there, you can see that, the boys love him and totally respect him. And, he's got a strong influence in the playing group, most definitely. But, we actually had a good chat last week with Dicko just about where he's at, physically, mentally with his body, and obviously going through all his chemo. So, we all believe that he's still got a lot of contribution to give to the football club and to the playing group. But I still believe that he's obviously still far away from the player he was previously before he had all the the chemo. So look, he's good. He's good value for us most definitely. But I think it's going to take a bit more time until we see the old Dicko back again.
Yeah, let's just touch on last night as Steve has brought that up, a fantastic 3-0 win up at your ground last night. Pitch, as you said, was immaculate. How did you? Obviously, 3 points is huge at this stage of the season. Certainly going into the second half of the campaign, it takes you out of that bottom two for the first time this season. Still, 8 points away from St Albans in 11th place. But what did that win do to the players in the sheds afterwards? Because I commentated on the game, Loz, and I thought you were superb from start to finish. So what were your thoughts? What was your plan before the game? And obviously it worked. What was said?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was good to have a full week of training. I think that was important compared to the previous week. And so we had a great week on the park, and we planned well to make sure that we cut Altona Magic out in their strengths, and I thought we did that very well last night. And the players obviously excited and getting their second win for the year. So it's been a long year for them. So they've sort of been dragging their feet through all this disappointment. So I think our job is to make sure that we improve week by week and try and get as many wins on the board as quick as we can, and to sort of give ourselves a bit of breathing space, I suppose, from the bottom two. So, but look, I can't fault the boys. I mean, they were very, very good at what we spoke about all week about nullifying Altona Magic. We did that well, and I think Altona probably didn't play as well because we were so disciplined and organised, and made it really difficult for them. So the players got rewarded. Like I said, the players, if we did the right things off the park and on the park throughout the week and prepare ourselves right, that we'll make it difficult for oppositions. And I think we've been good in the last couple of weeks, but this last night was probably a starting point for us to hopefully turn the corner and really get ourselves with some sort of competitiveness and get ourselves as high as we can, I suppose. But I think it was just important that I think the self-belief in the playing group was strong last night, and I think once you get that win and the self-belief is and the group belief is united, I think the rest of it could be anything that we want it to be. So it was important for that to get that 3 points most definitely, but we can't stop there. We need to keep growing week by week.
And Goran, it's a bit of a different situation this year with the transfer window not opening till, I think it's something crazy like round 18. What are your thoughts on that situation? And do you think that you might have a bit of a dabble in that space when that window opens?
Yeah, most definitely. I think a lot of clubs will be looking at that transfer window. It's obviously not ideal. By the time you bring someone in, around 18, 19, whatever it may fall on, there's only like 7 games left, so it's not really a crash shot. I don't think it bothers too much down to the top teams. Teams fighting in the top 2, 3, 4, 5, but teams at the bottom of the ladder, I suppose, trying to strengthen their squad's probably not ideal. But most definitely people will be looking at strengthening, and we are one of those clubs. We will be looking at trying to strengthen the group most definitely, and it's not for just this season. I suppose probably building into next year as well. So that's most important for us. Whatever we do bring in, if we do bring someone in, it'll be moving into the following season as well, and try to get ourselves we start preparing from this year for next year.
And talking about bringing people in, you've brought a very experienced coach in Ricardo Martinez to work alongside you. He's done a fantastic job there at Brunswick over the course of the last few seasons. What was the reason for bringing Ricardo, and what will he offer the playing group? Yeah.
I mean, Ricardo's. I've known Rick now for 4 or 5 years through obviously another coach that I've worked with as well, and we've always crossed paths and had conversation about football, and I've always thought he's got a great football mind, and he's very good at analysing opposition, and sort of happened coincidentally. Sort of happened accidentally, actually. Not coincidentally. It was just accidentally the way it happened. He sort of called me just to talk a bit of football stuff and see what's going on, and he didn't really realise I was looking for another coach to come on board, and it happened pretty quickly, to be honest. I've told a few people the story about it, and they said, "Wow!" Like it was, he called me to talk about something else, and within half an hour, we were actually working together. So things do happen for a reason, and I think him calling me that morning is sort of was probably meant to be. But he's been excellent for the playing group. He's really good at analysing opposition, and really breaks things down for the playing group, and he's even taught me a few things. But I think the players are really enjoying Rick, and he's opening up their eyes to different things in football, which is good to see. And he's keeping the players on their toes, and making sure that players are accountable as well. So he's been nothing but excellent to work with, and really looking forward to working with him for the rest of the season.
Let's have a recap of the round 14 games that have been played over the weekend. So Friday night in the Croatian derby, Melbourne Knights defeated Dandenong City 2-1. Green Gully Cavaliers lost to Oakley Cannons 3-0. Eastern Lions were defeated by Dandenong Thunder 1-0. St Albans Saints also lost to Port Melbourne Sharks 1-0. As we mentioned, Hume City defeated Altona Magic 3-0 Saturday night. Bentley Greens and Avondale drew 1-1. And then earlier today, Heidelberg United 2 defeated South Melbourne 1 at the Olympic Village. Goran, is that a surprising result for you? Or, Heidelberg have sort of had a bit of an indifferent season, haven't they? But to defeat the league leaders like that, I mean, of course, it's the big Greek derby and the form book goes out the window. But does that result surprise you at all?
Oh, look, it doesn't. And the only reason it doesn't is because I was out there actually this afternoon watching that game, and I thought Heidelberg actually deserved it. Towards the end of that game, and they were actually a lot better second half compared to South Melbourne. But I was talking to a few people there. That first half could have been something like a 5-2. Opportunities to South Melbourne. In saying that, so it was an interesting first half. But second half I thought Heidelberg were well in it and probably deserve to take on 3 points. So, like you said earlier on, sometimes the form guys out the window, and derbies are derbies. And Mr. George Katakis was quite voice on the sideline, and I thought his troops were quite good today and probably deserved the points. But, one thing I've seen the last 2 or 3 weeks really watching NPL football is, you can't underestimate too many sides in this competition. So, if you're not on your A game, can get better. So, I think that's important.
It really does open up the top now, doesn't it? It's with South Melbourne just 3 points above Oakley now, but Oakley got that game in hand, which is against Melbourne Knights, which got cancelled the other week. So it really opens it up there in the top 2, and Port Melbourne Sharks just below that are having a fantastic season as well. So, there's one of probably 7 or 8 that have got an opportunity up there, I think.
No, most definitely. I think the top 5 or 6 clubs are pretty consistent at the moment, and I think they're going to find it a little bit tougher in the back end of the season with obviously teams on the bottom end of the table. But look, they're there for a reason because they're being the most consistent. So it is nice and compact up top, and as far as I'm concerned, being on the bottom, as long as they're all pinching points off each other, I think I'll be quite happy.
Now, Goran, you've got a tricky game against the third place side, Port Melbourne Sharks, coming up this Saturday evening. They got a good win on the road, I guess, against St Albans Saints, with Courtney Perkins scoring the only goal of the game. How do you see that game shaping up, and do you think you can go to JL Murphy and maybe make it pretty tough for them?
Well, that's going to be the plan. Most definitely. Obviously, they're in some good form, and they're sitting third in the ladder for a reason. And they obviously coach well, and so I've watched them a few times this year, and I've been sort of analysing as well. And I think every team's beatable, but as far as I'm concerned, I think we do what we did last night consistently. I think we give ourselves every opportunity of getting something out of that football match, and over the next couple of weeks, we've got some great opportunities to really move off the foot of the table. So. We're excited, and obviously we're going to have a plan, most definitely. And, Port Melbourne's going to be tough to beat at home, but, we're going to go there and try and get something, most definitely. But they are a team in form, and I think, like I said a little bit earlier on, I think everyone's beatable. But obviously we're excited, mate, and my boys now are full of confidence after last night's performance, and we just need to keep doing what we do well, and I think we give ourselves a chance every week.
Yeah,
before we let you go, guys, I was just going to say, has there been any talk, or rumours or anything like that the games may be shifted or anything because now of the All Melbourne Grand Final next Saturday night?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was driving back from the Heidelberg and South Melbourne game, and we were actually having a conversation in the car about that. We're a little bit surprised that the Federation haven't try and leave that day for free, available and free for people to go watch. But no, we haven't heard anything. As far as I know, the club's not told me anything. So unless there's emails flying out tonight or tomorrow morning sometime, we've not heard anything at the moment. So it's a little bit disappointing not be able to get a chance to watch that game, and everyone's going to be sort of involved in the matches. So, but no, as of yet, we don't know anything about that.
Right, okay. Well, I guess it's a case of wait and see, and we'll probably find out tomorrow, no doubt, once everyone does go back. But you would have expected some sort of contingency plan to be put into place. Goran, wishing you all the very best for the season ahead. Thank you so much for joining us on this rather cold and freezing Sunday night. We do appreciate you taking some time out of your own personal life to come and join us on the show. And as we said, we wish you all the best with Hume City and yourself for the rest of the year.
Thank you very much, guys. You enjoy your evening.
Thanks, Goran.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we return, we'll be looking at NPL 2, NPL 3 and the state leagues. Don't go away, folks. It's Football Out West Show.
Looking for a space for your next function? At George's on Vista, our function room caters for all types of functions. Milestone birthdays, special religious occasions, work functions, hens or bachelor nights, baby showers, or whatever reason you decide is a good idea to get together with family and friends. Contact our friendly staff who will help you put together a menu that will suit your special occasion. Inquiries can be made via our website, georgesonvista.com.au. George's on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. You'll find us at Caroline Springs, George Cross.
All right, welcome back to the Football Out West Show. Now it's time to turn our attention to the results from the NPL 2 over the weekend. And certainly the race for promotion into NPL 1 and that title is really hotting up between North Geelong and Moreland City at the moment. So we'll just have a look at some of those results that took place on the weekend. And plenty of exciting games again. So it was a big win for Northcote City, 4-0 over Werribee City there on Saturday out at Northcote. There was a 2-2 match on Friday night. Actually, that previous game was also on Friday night too. Friday night, Moreland Zebras 2, Manningham United Blues 2. So Manningham United started to pick up a few more points of late. Lang Warren went down at home 2-1 to Brunswick City. So a good win for Brunswick. They've been battling a little bit this season at the wrong end of the table, but maybe that's a sign that they're going to turn things around. A bit of a thriller, Bulleen Lions and North Geelong Warriors. It was 3-2 in favour of the visitors in that particular clash. A real thriller with Caleb Mikulich with an 89th minute winner to give the boys from Alco Park all 3 points. Kingston City, 4-1 winners yesterday up at Shepparton against the Goulburn Valley Suns. And Moreland City, they haven't been scoring a bunch of goals lately, but they put 3 past Pascoe Vale and courtesy of Latham, Bassetto and Theodorakopoulos to get them over the line, 3-1 winners, and keep the pressure on at the top end of the table. So a very exciting, as always, we say it every week, but it's true, I think, a very exciting round of matches in the NPL too.
Now, Steve, you and I were out at Werribee City last week covering the Werribee City-Moreland City game, and we ran into our old friend, the former CEO of Western United, Morris Bassetto. And he was telling us, interestingly, like pre-season, they honestly thought that they would be relegation material. Yeah. And they still can't believe at the moment that they're undefeated, and they do remain undefeated. But next week, there's going to be an absolute corker of a game down at Alco Park in Geelong. North Geelong taking on Moreland City in the battle between first and second. That's 3 p.m. kickoff down in Geelong. That should be an absolute classic game. But Craig, I want to bring to your attention Manningham United Blues. It's amazing. They're equal second last, or third last because of better goal difference. But every week they seem to be troubling the top teams. In this case, they held Moreland Zebras to a 2-2 draw. It's a funny league, isn't it? NPL 2.
Yeah, we've spoken about that before, Tonch. It's a league that everybody can beat everybody on any given day. I was speaking to Stu Beggs, the coach of North Geelong, this morning, and then again this afternoon I was speaking to some supporters, and they all said that Bulleen were by far and away the better side yesterday in their game. But North managed to get a 3-2 win out of it. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me with Manningham. They are a difficult side to beat. They've got a great coach there. Yes, they are down the bottom, but as I said, anybody in this league can beat anybody. And whilst North at the moment, 6 points clear of third place Moreland Zebra, that could change very quickly. Or if North Geelong get a win this weekend, it takes them a bit further away. So that's a massive game this weekend, first versus second. But the rest is nothing between 8th, 9th, 10th, and really 5th. A couple of wins and you're straight back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, let's move our attention now to NPL 3. And the A-League clubs are all doing very, very well up at the top. There was one game played earlier tonight, but we don't know the result of that.
It was locked at 1-1. It was locked at 1-1 when I was watching that one. I'm sure Brenton Ray will have that full-time score for us in the comments in that particular fixture, which was between Western United's NPL side and the North Sunshine Eagles out at City Vista. Some of the scores coming in from the weekend: Box Hill United 2, Melbourne City's NPL side 4. So free scoring young fellas there in the sky blue. Also free scoring, Springvale White Eagles 5-2 over the Whittlesea Rangers. Melbourne Victory's NPL side 2-0 over Geelong. So Geelong's recent good form streak comes to an end there against Melbourne Victory. Ballarat City getting a point off the Preston Lions there at Moorshead Park 2-2. So that is a really good result, a good effort by Ballarat City, who are at the opposite end of the table to Preston Lions. And there was a result between Doveton and Nunawading City. Do we have that one on hand, guys?
Yeah, thanks to the Ray man. It's Doveton 2, Nunawading City 1, and Brenton has come through with the goods yet again. He's amazing. Western United defeated North Sunshine Eagles 4-1, so that thrusts Western United into equal points as Preston Lions, but slightly inferior goal difference, ever so slightly. But Michael Long also pops in. Michael Long's team was indeed Nunawading City. So thanks, Michael, for letting us know. It must have been a painful result, that one, 2-1 against Doveton. So Doveton, they do move up to 13 points. Another sort of very close look up the top, Melbourne City, Melbourne Victory, and then Preston Lions and Western United both on 19 points. Once again, a series of good wins can thrust you into almost that top position, and a series of bad results can see you plummeting all the way down the bottom. So
we saw that with Geelong, didn't we? A couple of wins, 3 wins on the bounce, I think it was, and they shot right up the table, and now they're sat in 5th place and look very healthy there. So it's that type of league, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. Let's moving along now to NPLW, gents. Now that ladder does not take into account today's games. So we're looking at that's, I guess, prior to today's games. Heidelberg United doing really well, but they have played an extra game. They're on 18 points at the moment. Calder United and Bulleen Lions on 14 points apiece, but they've got a game in hand, and that's obviously the games that were played today.
They're going to play tomorrow night, actually. They've got a big game against South Melbourne. That's tomorrow night at the Veneto Club. So that's a good one to tune into on the NPL TV tomorrow night for sure.
So Heidelberg did defeat... Go on, sorry, mate.
Heidelberg, 5-2 over Bayside United there at Kingston Heath. So a high-scoring win there as well. The other result I've got is Alamein 1-0 over FV Emerging on Saturday afternoon. I don't have the result of Calder United versus Box Hill United on the Sports TG here, which is always handy.
Yeah, that was played yesterday afternoon. So if anyone knows that score between the result between Calder United and Box Hill United, do tell us that score. But Steve, as I was mentioning, I went to watch Preston in the VPLW. Mate, they are an absolute class team. And look, I honestly, they'll definitely move up to NPLW next season. But even in their current form, I reckon they'd be a very, very competitive unit in the NPLW competition. But speaking of the VPLW, there's the VPLW. So Preston sitting pretty on top. Great goal difference. 34-4 against. Now, that also doesn't take into the Galaxy game. So with a goal difference of plus 26. Yes, it does. Sorry. My apologies. It does
that's
take
gone in.
It has gone in. So that's a brilliant look at that. 26 plus goal difference. No one is anywhere near them. Burundara Eagles are a side that's doing very well. We're not too sure what was the score of their game earlier.
Yep. They played Melbourne. They played Melbourne Uni at 3:00 this afternoon. So if they did win that one, they will retain their top spot on the ladder. But yeah, we don't have those scores, unfortunately. Also missing the scores from the Melbourne Knights and Casey Comets and the White Horse and South Yarra as well. So
yeah. Quite annoying when that happens, but what can you do? Look, next week, Melbourne Uni host Preston Lions. Now, that's going to be a big game. Look, even depending on the outcome of today's game. So two very, very crucial games there. But Preston, look, no doubt with the Burundara and Melbourne Uni game, someone's dropped points. There's no doubt about that. Next week, Preston got an opportunity to really sort of steer away from Melbourne Uni. So there's an opportunity for them to do that as well. So I tell you what, look, there's the women's side of the competition is really becoming quite interesting. And look, I don't know if this is true. The rumours circulating are that 4 teams will move to the NPLW competition. Now, if you've got a club like Geelong Galaxy in 4th spot, and they got absolutely pummeled by Preston Lions last night, 8-1. There is, even within the top 4, there's a big discrepancy, if you like, a big difference in standard. But yeah, Preston Lions and definitely Burundara, although I haven't seen them. I've just heard about them and followed some of their results. They would be more than competitive, I think, in NPLW next season. So
and Joey G's come good in the comments with us. He says Burundara did win their match 5-0, so that will take them back to the top of the table. And also South Yarra were at some point in time winning 5-0 as well in their match. So South Yarra will jump up into the top 4 with that result as well.
Yeah, big results there, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, Burundara are beating Melbourne Uni 5-0. So obviously there's a big gap between the two. So yeah, Burundara jump onto 18 points, Preston on 16, and then we've got Melbourne Uni 12, or South Yarra actually on 13, and then Melbourne Uni 12. Geelong drops out of the top 4 with 12 points. But next week they take on Melbourne Knights at home. So there's an opportunity for them to redeem themselves and an opportunity for Preston, as we said, to overcome the Melbourne University. And Burundara hosting South Yarra. So there's a few very, very interesting fixtures next week, that's for sure. Craig's just stepped away, but he'll be back very, very shortly. Yep. Now, let's finish it off with State League 1 action, men's State League 1 action. Caroline Springs, George Cross looking very, very good at the top of the competition standings at the moment.
They are looking good. They had a 2-0 win in the 5:00 game at City Vista on Saturday, beating Whittlesea United. FC Clifton Hill got the win over FC Strathmore. So, yeah, we had a chat to their new coach, Mickey Chelina, last week. They didn't get the points yesterday. Clifton Hill with the home win, so an important win for them because Clifton Hill, that takes them away from that point of danger at the bottom of the table. Brimbank Stallions, they had a 1-0 win, hard-fought win over Altona City. Sydenham Park went to Hume Reserve and beat Corio 2-0. And in the Friday night match, kicking off the weekend, Essendon Royals 2, Keilor Park 2 at Cross Keys Reserve. So, an exciting one. And we've got a score, Tonchi, as well from the Banyule game.
Yeah, the Banyul City. So the Banyul City defeated Yarraville Glory and Mackay Reserve 3-1. And what we saw on that particular occasion. So this doesn't take into that account that result. So Banyul City will jump up to 21 points. And then Brimbank Stallions have got a game in hand. I do believe that one's against Essendon Royals. That was that game that was, I think,
Yeah, rained out.
Something like that. Rained out. Yeah.
That's the one.
So...
and we're hearing Essendon Royals were 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, and they really dropped a couple of points there.
Yeah. Don't know what's going on there, that's for sure. So big games next week for the round. We're round 11. We're already at the halfway mark of the season. Yeah. Quite incredible. Banyul City taking on Caroline Springs George Cross next Saturday, and that's at 3:00. Craig, what can you tell us about that? You'll have all the latest news about that. But it'll be a massive game, won't it, at Yalambee Park Reserve? First versus second. A huge game.
It is a big game. Round 11. It's I suppose it's the two fancy teams from this year, along with obviously there's Brimbank, Sydenham, and Essendon Royals. But this is the big game of the season. Don Barber, the Banyul coach, was there watching the game yesterday. I'm not sure what he took from it, but look, it's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be full of passion. There's a few Caroline Springs, George Cross players playing up there at Banyul. Yeah. So it'll be a very interesting game. And it's one that both sides certainly want to get the 3 points from.
Yeah, there's a couple of 1v2s next week or 1v3s, etc. So some lot of exciting football coming up at grassroots level next weekend, that's for sure. Gents, that pretty much brings us to the end of the first half. We've played 2 minutes of stoppage time, and the referee has finally blown his whistle. We're going to take a little bit of a break. When we return, it's time for the press box, and straight away, our very, very first guest is already waiting for us. So, folks, don't go away. We'll be back very, very quickly, and we will be back in time for the press box very shortly. Good evening and welcome to the Football Out West Show. It's Season 4, Episode 89. And gents, we are now starting the second half of our show, tonight's show, The Press Box. And Steve, our first guest is already waiting. Let's bring him on. Hey.
Yeah, it's time to welcome our first guest for the Press Box tonight. He is in the green room and he's just recovering from a big semi-final second leg last night, and he's into grand final week now. And it's a very good evening to Western United midfielder Neil Kilkenny. Welcome to the show, Neil. Thanks very much for joining us. And how are you feeling after that big 90 minutes last night?
Yeah, obviously just trying to recover from the game, but emotions were all over the place. So it was a really good game, a really good spectacle for everyone to watch the game, and it was fantastic to play in too. So we're looking forward to Saturday night now.
Absolutely.
And how have you?
Sorry.
Go on, Steve. Crack on, mate. Carry on.
No, you jump in, mate.
Go on. Off you go.
I was going to ask Neil, what's it been like in your midfield combination so far? You've got so used to playing next to Steve Lusticker. Jerry Skotadis hasn't played a lot of football this season, but he's come in and you guys have worked together really well in the heart of midfield. Has that been an easy transition to playing next to Jerry as opposed to Steve?
Yeah, Jerry's done a good job since he's come into the team, breaks up the play well, and a young player willing to learn. So, he's done a fantastic job, and you know, whoever gets picked on Saturday, I'm sure it will be a fantastic game for them to play in, and we're, like I said, we're really looking forward to the game on Saturday.
Now,
Great.
Neil, obviously, you've been in the country for a few years now, a number of years at Melbourne City, and then over to Perth. And what excited you, obviously, about the move to Western United? Because obviously, it's not one of the big clubs. It's a brand new club. But what excited you about Western United, and how have you found your first real season with everything that's gone on over the past 2 years? How have you found yourself fitting into the club?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. The club are willing to invest. The people involved with the club are looking to invest and invest in the game and in the club, and they want to go and win and achieve things, and that's shown over the years, the players that they brought to the club. And obviously when I heard the interest, I was interested with, I knew obviously Don Aloisi, and then I knew his assistant very well, Hayden Fox, who was at Perth with me, and we had great success there. So obviously when I spoke to them, they explained that, you know, that the way that they were going to do it, and I wanted to be part of it. You know, I went to Melbourne City and helped them win their first piece of silverware with the FFA Cup when I was there, and then obviously I've gone to Perth and helped them win their first A-League title as well. So hopefully, you know,
Treble.
The grand final is the one that I haven't won yet, and that's the one I want now, and then I can say I've got the full set.
Fantastic.
Now, Neil, you did mention about, you know, some of the experiences that you've had, and I guess that's going to come really like in good stead for Saturday, because at the moment, like it's the first time. I mean, we said right at the top of the show, after just 3 years in existence, it's the first time that Western United are in the grand final. But on the flip side, it's Melbourne City's third consecutive grand final, so they're very used to this big dance, as we call it. But you've got a lot of experienced players there, and how important is that experience going to be, particularly with some of the younger players? Were they starting to feel a little bit like, you know, nervous or at any stage during the semi-finals against Victory? And did you guys have to sort of come in and just sort of put a hand around them, figuratively speaking?
Yeah, no, I think there's always a first time for everything for players, you know. I think they showed fantastic commitment, fantastic, you know, they dealt with the situation very well. The players that hadn't been in the situation, you know, and you look at Melbourne Victory's team, and they had a lot of players that had been there and done it, and we had a few players that haven't, and they stepped up to the plate. So, you know, and the older players like myself, we always try and help the younger players throughout the season, and obviously in moments we've, like I said, we've been there, done that, and hopefully we can navigate our way through to the final and win it.
Does it help having those younger players? Sorry, Steve. Does it help having those younger players who haven't experienced that? Of, you know, Tonchi spoke about nerves and things like that. Then, but in that sort of occasion, Neil, you know, you've been through it yourself over the years. Do the young players have those feelings of worry and dread, or do they just go out and take it all in their stride?
Well, I think they just try and take it in their stride. You know, obviously there's going to be nerves. There's going to be, but you know, I've played with a lot of players that, you know, in football, that they can't handle pressure. And we showed on over the last 2 games that, you know, the players stepped up to the plate when we needed them. And I thought we were fantastic yesterday. Even in the first leg, it was a player to play in the first leg. It was like a bit of a chess match. And then obviously in the second game, it was, you know, it opened up a bit, and they were both fantastic games to play in. But for the spectacle, the game last night was a brilliant watch. There was everything in there, you know, goals, penalty claims, VAR decisions, blood and guts going. So yeah, it was fantastic to play in, and hopefully it can be a similar spectacle on Saturday, and hopefully the outcome can be come our way.
Now, you've probably had the wood over Melbourne City, it's fair to say, in recent times, despite them being a strong team in the A-League the last couple of years. Do you put that down to perhaps you've got such a good organised defence with Leo back there in front of Jamie Young? And what's it like playing in front of those guys?
Yeah, they're good players, obviously. They're experienced players. Leo's a good player. Obviously, Tamoki's done well, Rizzo and Benny. And then obviously we've got a good structure. Whoever comes in knows their jobs. The manager, when he come in, he's made sure that everyone knows their jobs from when he's walked through the door. So whoever plays comes in and they step in. For example, Jerry hasn't really played that much this season, and he's stepped in straight away, and he knows his roles and responsibilities. And so, and that's part and parcel of, that's why we've been right at the top of the ladder throughout the season. And it's going to be a fantastic battle on Saturday.
John Aloisi, he's come out in the press, I think, saying that after 2018, he didn't think that he was going to get an opportunity. So when Western United came knocking on his door last year, it was just one of those opportunities not to give up. How much of a factor has John Aloisi been in the transformation of Western United into a real title-chasing side this year? I mean, obviously the gaffer's the big one there, but he's an inspirational player to all generations of Australian football. But just how much of a difference has John made?
I think he's made a massive difference as well. The club need a massive praise as well. The ownership, the CEO, the football director. From the top down, they're willing to invest. They've brought in good people, good football people that know the game. Winners, that's another thing that you need. People that don't accept second best and don't accept mediocrity every day. If you want to be at the top of the ladder, you have to train properly every day, and that's what he's brought in. And then he appoints his staff who have been fantastic as well, and they help him, and that's the sign of a good manager. Bringing in the people that help him along the way, and bringing in the right changing room as well. So everything combined, but he has to take a lot of praise. But I think obviously the people above as well. I've walked into the club and I've been incredibly impressed with the structure of the club throughout. All the people from there, everyone wants to win, but they're willing to win. They've come in and they're willing to invest. They're willing to, go that extra little bit, the little details that are needed to win things and get over the line. You have to do them. If you cut corners, you're not going to be there. And that's what the club as a whole have done. And the manager is definitely part of that, with obviously all his coaching staff and the players in the changing room.
Neil, what's the week ahead looking like for you? Do you know what the schedule's going to be? I assume there might be extra media commitments aside from this special appearance on the Football Out West show. But do you know what you've got planned? Because you've come through a tricky, 3 matches in 8 days, three sort of crucial cutthroat matches in 8 days, and now you've got an extra day's rest, more than Melbourne City have. Do you know what's ahead for the week?
Well, we know what. Obviously, we know the. Our structure, we've been doing it all season, a certain amount of, turnaround games, whether 4 or 7. So we know, quite a bit. Obviously, there's little things in there that may change, but we're ready to go, and we'll be training hard this week, putting in the preparation, because we know we'll be up against a good Melbourne City team, and we're really looking forward to it.
Now, one question from me that's come from one of our listeners, Michael Long, who you will know from around the traps there at Western United.
Everyone knows Michael.
Everybody knows Michael Long. Why number 88?
To be honest, I wish I took 88 my whole career, if I'm honest. It's a bit different. But when I signed at Perth Glory, number 8 was taken, and they asked me what number I wanted to be, and I just went, 88, I'll be 88 then. and it's basically stuck. And like I said, I wish I sort of done that, you know, throughout my career. So I could try and make it a bit of a trademark. So that's why I picked number 88, and I'm enjoying it, and yeah, and hopefully, you know, it will work out positive for me.
Good luck, chum. Now, you mentioned Perth Glory. You've also had a stint at Melbourne City back in 2018, and you touched on Western United. Now, I guess you better watch what you say, because we've got the big boss coming on straight after this, Chris PEHLIVANIS. But what makes Western United such a unique club? What's different about Western United that probably, you know, sticks out for you? Because you've been at some unbelievable clubs throughout your career: Birmingham City, Oldham Athletic, Leeds United, Bristol City, Preston North End. List goes on and on. What really makes Western United unique?
I just think, you know, the people involved from right to the top, from right the investors, obviously the CEO, the football director, the manager. They treat you as a person. You know, they look out. Obviously, I've been through an incredibly tough season off the pitch. You know, with the border closures from Perth, with my family were in Perth, to my father-in-law passing away halfway through the season at a crucial point of the season when we were playing Melbourne City, Sydney FC, and the club had no hesitation to, you know, take your time. You know, we understand your partner is going through a difficult stage, and yeah, so they've been incredible in that sense. You know, I've seen my family 3 weeks of 10 months, so and 2.5 weeks of them was when my father-in-law passed away, and I was in the UK for him to go to the funeral. So yeah, I'll be always grateful for the way that they've treated me in that period. And so, like I said, they treat you as a family, and they treat people as a human being first, instead of a footballer, which is incredible, really.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we forget, don't we, as football fans, what you guys actually have to go through. It's yes, it's work. It's the most fantastic job in the world to be able to go to training every day, put a pair of shorts on, and kick a football about. But you know, over the last year, it's been 2 years. It's been a very, very tough time for a lot of clubs, and you personally. So to see you've come through this, you know, I suppose this weekend will be the icing on the cake for you, I think, Neil. And as you said, you've never had the grand final, so you know, from all of us, I think we wish you all the very best on Saturday. I'm sure you'll lift it. We all hope that you certainly do, and it'll be fantastic for the Western Suburbs if Western United can lift that crown.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, hopefully we can do it. Like I said, the club is so young. It's 3 years old. So, you know, they're going to be behind everyone at the minute. But they're growing. They're willing to grow. They want to invest into the club. They want to invest into the community. They want their own training ground, their own stadium. That's fantastic for Australian football. I think as a fan base in Australia, I think people should really look into that. Think, wow, these guys want to go places, and they want to invest in the future of Australian football to grow the game. And even as a player, I look at that and I admire. Fantastic.
And I've actually asked for one more question, but I'm actually going to ask two, Tonch, if that's okay.
Oh, I go for your life.
Obviously, you've been here for a while now, a number of years. How do you find the football standard here compared to, obviously, the UK? Everybody says, you know, when we compare stuff, we always try and compare Australia. I'm 10 years into my tenure here now, and, you know, all I've ever heard is UK, Spain, Holland. We're not. We're a totally different country, million miles from anywhere. How do you find the football here compared to what you've had in the UK over the years?
Well, look, I've been away from the UK for 6 years now. This is my 6th season, and what I found when I first walked through, the structure, the way that the game's played, a lot more on the floor. It may have changed over the last 5-6 years. I think it has changed in the UK in the sense of Guardiola coming into the game, and a more technical and tactical game. So when I come back to Australia, I found that the game suited myself more because the game was played on the floor a lot more, where in the UK is, second ball, final ball, win your second balls first, instead of actually passing the ball and keeping the ball first. So I've really found it. Don't get me wrong, I still think there's still things that they need to improve here. I think they need to improve the competitiveness of, obviously, with I believe that you need a relegation and promotion. I think that will bring I think that will bring a character, more ruthless edge to the game. Demand for results. So you see a lot of teams in the A-League that after 10 games, if they know that they're at the bottom, they go, we'll just chuck the youngsters in. And then all of a sudden you have an experience where a team just, you're playing them, they've got youngsters and it's near enough, who's going to win. If there's a relegation in there or some sort of threat of losing your status in the league, they can't do that. They have to invest, i.e. bring in a new manager, bring in new players. And then, you see the teams that get promoted in England. I'm just giving an example of England because you see managers get promoted from the Championship to the Premier League. They go back to the Championship and they go, I want that guy because I've seen loads of videos and I've played against him. I know how good he is. And they go with what they know. So you see that. So, for instance, an NPL, a team got promoted from the NPL. A manager will go back because they know what they've played against, and they go, I've seen him every week. I've seen videos of this guy, and I know that we need to give him an opportunity. And you get more players like a Jamie Vardy, but we have them in England because there's a lot of good players in the NPL, and I think that players in the NPL will take more of an interest if they can get an opportunity in the A-League, if they can get promoted. So that obviously creates more of an interest. So that's what I feel that needs to be done in the game. And I could talk football all day. I'm so passionate about the game.
We're going to have to get you back on because you know what? A lot of people have talked about. Yeah. I was going to say, a lot of people have talked about the merits of the second division, but no one has actually illustrated it so perfectly and eloquently the way you have just then, and why players in the NPL would be, I think, have that desire, have that incentive, and for that very reason, which you just explained perfectly. So, mate, we're going to have to get you back on in the off-season.
But he's absolutely right. If you've got NPL players getting an opportunity in A-League, we've talked about crowds and things like that. That's going to help the crowds because your local spectators will want to go and watch those young players getting an opportunity at the highest level. And now we're going to go off on a tangent now, Neil. So we best stop as we.
We could find our Australian Jamie Vardy. How fantastic would that be?
Absolutely. Now I got one more question for you tonight. It's the big, it's the big final game in the UK. I'm going to ask you two questions from it: Manchester City or Liverpool?
Listen, they're both fantastic teams, but I want Manchester City to win because when Pep Guardiola walked through the door at Manchester City, people turned around to him and said that you can't play that way in England. And now he's proved you can play in England. And there was this, I've played in the lower leagues and I played against Swansea when they were, coming up through, and they played unbelievable football and they got promoted. They kept getting promoted and I always used to say, you can play that way, but you need the right players. So I want Man City to win, but they're both fantastic clubs. Unbelievable the way that they play.
And the final one, and you know where I'm going, and you know where I'm going with this. Will your old clubs, 122 appearances for Leeds United, will they stay up tonight?
I hope so. What a club! What a club! It was a pleasure to play for them. Hopefully one day I will be able to go back there in another capacity, whether it's coaching or management. I've got a massive ambition to do that, and I'm aiming to be right at the top. So I hope so, because that club deserves to be in the Premier League with that fan base.
It's a huge club, isn't it? For those that don't, for those that are not familiar, and I'm sure you are, it's a huge football club. Huge football club.
Unbelievable. Honestly, when I walked through the doors there, I honestly didn't realise what a club it is, and the amount of pleasure and I just feel so privileged to being able to play for that club. It was fantastic. It's a fantastic football club.
Well, that was the past, and the future is next Saturday, and we wish you all the very best for that. Big game against Melbourne City, the grand final. That's at 7:45 p.m. Neil, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of tonight's show. We really, really appreciate that. And as we said, we're going to have to get you back on sometime in the off season to really further elaborate on some of your opinions, which are absolutely brilliant. So, wishing you all the best, mate, for the week ahead and indeed on Saturday night.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for having me. It's been any time. I'm always here.
Thanks, Neil. All the best for
good
the
luck,
weekend.
mate. Good luck.
Neil Kilkenny. Wow, wasn't that a great little bit of a... We were going to talk about the A-League. We're going to talk about Melbourne, the Melbourne Derby or the Melbourne Grand Final, and he's come up with some perler comments there. Absolutely fantastic.
Just on that, Tonch, we, as I said, touched on there about, how fortunate footballers are to play the sport that they love. But, when you hear him and you can hear him getting upset there about some of the things that's happened this year that we take for granted, don't we, sometimes, that, they are human beings, they are doing a job, they're there to sort of, to help us. Enjoy life a little bit better, but sometimes we forget what players actually go through.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, our major season sponsor for 2022 is the wonderful Caroline Springs George Cross Football Club, home of the Georgies on Vista. We're going to take a little bit of a commercial break, and if you are looking for a place to book your next function, consider the Georgies on Vista. It is a wonderful venue. When we return...
Get on the nasi goreng, Tonch. It's the best nasi goreng outside of Indonesia, I'm telling you.
Is that right? Well,
the lasagna is quite good too, but it's very hot, so don't eat it too quickly, but it's very good.
We'll be back.
Looking for a space for your next function? At George's on Vista, our function room caters for all types of functions. Milestone birthdays, special religious occasions, work functions, hens or bachelor nights, baby showers, or whatever reason you decide is a good idea to get together with family and friends. Contact our friendly staff who will help you put together a menu that will suit your special occasion. Inquiries can be made via our website, georgesonvista.com.au. George's on Vista, in the heart of Fraser Rise. You'll find us at Caroline Springs, George Cross.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It's season 4, episode 89. And Craig, it's time for our final guest for tonight, someone who's very well known to this program.
Yes, indeed. He's always willing to come on and have a chat about us, and there's no better time with everything that's gone on in the past couple of years for the football club. Where we welcome Chris PEHLIVANIS to the show.
Good evening, gentlemen, and good listeners as well.
Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Chris.
Firstly, Chris, congratulations. 3 years in, 3 years young, and the club has reached its first grand final. We've seen all sorts of jubilant scenes from singing in the dressing room, and it just is such a great vibe now at Western United. Mate, your first thoughts after qualifying for the 2022 grand final?
Still can't believe it.
But, remember it?
Still can't
what
believe
time did you get in this afternoon?
I've actually George Cross just watched our NPL boys. So
I thought you were, yeah.
It doesn't finish, we work hard and we've got to enjoy the moment. So, yeah, we did enjoy it a bit last night, but it's all systems go for next week, which will be one of our yep, there you go. One of our, most important games of our history, if not the most important. But I heard Neil's interview, and firstly, what a great human and what a privilege we have as our club. We embarked on a journey at the start of this season to identify a new coach and a new direction for the club, and we did that. We did a lot of hard work in the off season, and I'll say it, and I haven't probably said it out aloud a lot yet because we wanted to stay focused on what it is, and it's the big prize at the end. But we brought John Eloise to the club, one of the best people in football you'll ever come across, and I'm lucky to be the CEO of a club that has people like John, people like Neil, and all our professional players, because not only are we learning how to be a good football club, we're learning how to be a good club, good humans, and there's a reason why we're in that grand final is because these people are working tirelessly for us. We keep asking him to go harder. We keep asking him to go further, and they just soak it all up. We're a club that's played in more venues than any other club in the A-League's history, and they keep rocking up, and we're in the grand final. So, I'm very proud, to be honest.
And what does it say about the caliber of the staff and the players that have been assembled at the club when everyone's been writing off the club? It's been written off probably twice this season. First of all, people saying the club won't make finals, and then secondly, saying Victory was a shoe-in to win that two-legged playoff. That hasn't happened though. It's gone the other way. Like, what does that say about the caliber of these people as individuals and a united team?
Yeah, I mean, we've been written off by a lot of people, and in all our club's history. What it says about the people at our club is that they're resilient, they live the values of the club, and they leave nothing to chance. And when you have that mix, irrespective of the results, I know that when we go out on that park, that everyone's going to put their best foot forward. We may not have won yesterday, but we put in a performance that justified our position and our ability to be on that stage. And so, I'm just grateful on the journey we're on. And, I've got a group that I keep asking to go harder in terms of all my staff and, everyone at the club, and, and they just do it. And so, bring on the grand final. And what I do know is, irrespective of the result, we're going to rock up and put a show on.
Yeah, and quite right too, Chris. It annoys me when, I won't say what clubs they are or supporters they are, but they have a pop at West United. I think I've seen a tweet today saying it's going to be the lowest grand final attendance in history. So be it. When the league started back 12 years ago, whatever it was, Melbourne Victory were the only team in Victoria. So surely they're going to get the most supporters, and it takes time, and that supporter base will grow the more successful the football club is. You've had an unenviable season. You said I'm not sure how many clubs you've been to, but most of your games have been away, so you're on planes and in hotels. Amount of the photos I see on your Facebook page from a hotel in New South Wales. It must be really hard for everybody involved in the club to be able to do that. But the crowds are growing. It's going to be a fantastic spectacle on the weekend, and it's certainly proof that the hard work has been put in, and this will be a great end to the season, won't it? With all the difficulties that you guys have had.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I'll touch on the crowds though. Like, I hear these people that say, the crowds are going to be low and all this, and they don't like football. Then, irrespective if you like Western United,
or if you like
Sunshine George Cross, or if you like Melbourne Eyes, or if you like Heidelberg or South Melbourne, or we have two Melbourne teams at the pinnacle of this sport in our country playing off in a grand final. You should just rock up. You know why? To support our code. Because without a successful A-League and without a successful crowd on the weekend, what are we doing, guys? We're going to shoot our own code. So for me, the people, whoever's listening to this podcast, if you love football, rock up. And if you love football and there's people out there, tell them they're wrong. Convince them to come out and support our game. Because without the support of our game, we'll always stay low, and we'll always make it difficult for our kids and future generations to love the sport we love. So come out there, support the code, and let's show our power of the game. Forget Western United, forget what club we are. Come out and support the game. That's what I'm asking people to do this week. And that's why, when you hear people like Neil speak, I'm just so grateful to listen to these people, because we don't talk about what's good for Western United. We talk about what's good for the game. And I heard him speak about the second division and all these sort of things. We love football. And the quicker people realise that, the better we're going to be. So I think everyone that's involved in this football that we love, let's start supporting each other, and let's not have pot shots and try and bring clubs down that are trying to do things that are ambitious and that are great for the game.
Speaking of trying to do things what's good for the game, you really have had a difficult time with various obstacles, and we had a really good interview with Ante Milicic on our sister podcast show, Ozcro Soccer Show, last week, and he talked about Macarthur FC starting from scratch and some of the difficulties coming up against in the Sydney market with established clubs like Sydney FC and Western Sydney Wanderers. Obviously, the stadium is a big one. But, having reached the grand final now after 3 years, do you think that this may kickstart the momentum both with the various councils, the politicians, maybe the members? Maybe there'll be a membership boost? Because obviously once Saturday comes and goes and the commiserations or the celebrations go, you'll still be rocking up next Monday week to work, and it'll be all systems go. How can Western United capitalise on this great success?
I think it's a long play, yeah. There's no automatic free kick. What we're trying to do, and we're ambitious, is we're trying to build a stadium. We're trying to build a training facility for the people of the West. That's going to happen. It takes time. This success obviously is going to help. But what we need is making sure that football is unified. So I think you touched on it before, the politicians, the councils, the governments. If we're not unified and we're not going to get people to attend all levels of football, how are we meant to get governments behind us? So I think, we're pushing hard, and results are one thing, and we can't control, what's going to happen on and off the field, on the field. But what we're going to do is always be ambitious, always be a club that strives to be successful in A-League men's and A-League women's. However, what we want to do is make sure we build something that is sustainable. For me, sustainable success is the most important thing we do at this club. So we want to build our stadium. We want to build our training facility and make it an elite facility for future generations. And that's something that every football fan should be proud of, and every football fan should be behind us, because if we do that, that's going to be the catalyst for everyone to follow, so we can have the appropriate infrastructure in this game to support our great game, which we don't have. We have one stadium in this state at the moment that is sufficient for A-League football.
Yeah.
We're the highest participated sport in this country, and we have one stadium. It's not acceptable. So that's our legacy. That's our vision. I think, as you said, Tonje, this week will help in all those metrics. But the number one thing we need to do is grow all our areas of our business. So we're going to work hard. And it doesn't stop at this Saturday, win, lose or draw. It continues, and it's continue for many years to come.
Well, we had Anthony Frost a few weeks back, didn't we, Steve? And he spoke about the academy. So that's really exciting in that regard. Yeah. We talked about the call
A-League women's next season. Very exciting. Women's
as well. So there's so many aspects of the club. It's getting harder and harder to manage as the club's growing so much more. I think you've gone a little bit grayer since we last had you on the show.
A little bit. I've probably had a better season, both and off the field, but I think the haircut is great. No, is it harder? No, it's more enjoyable. It's more rewarding, because when I saw those girls smile when we got an A-League women's team, and when I announced it to that group, that's the legacy stuff we're going to leave. We're creating another elite women's football team in this country, in this state and country, for young girls to aspire to. If that's what we're doing, how can everyone not be proud of that? Then we're creating another academy for elite kids, and I'm going to say it, for elite kids in the West to play football and have a pathway to live their dreams, to play for Western United, and then ultimately go overseas. Everyone says, the A-League is not as good as overseas. Okay. We're stepping stone for our kids to go overseas, and we should celebrate every kid we get overseas and work hard to do that. And we have to own our space, and our space is to get kids overseas, to get kids to fulfill their dreams. And their dreams may be to play in the A-League. Well, let's do that. And we're only going to do that if we have strong, viable clubs who have pathways both on the boys and women's side. And you know what? Western United's going to have that very soon. And I'm so proud of that.
Absolutely. What has the club got an opinion on the A-League's finals format they've used this year? It's been a thrilling, as a spectator, it's felt like a thrilling final series. Has it been tough with that two-legged playoff in the space of a week after that elimination final, or does the club think it's a good format?
Look, I like the format. I think it's tough because of the condensed season because of COVID, yeah. So, but you know what? The top two teams got the benefit of finishing top two, so there's a little bit of an advantage. I like the home play. I think it then ensures the best team gets to the final rather than a one-off game where
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. So over two legs, I feel like the best team will get through. And if I look at on balance, our game against Victory, I thought we were the best team over the two legs. Maybe I'm biased, but I think we were. And I think City probably were the better team against Adelaide over the two legs. So, you know, and I also think that both those teams, us and City, have been the best two teams all season. So, and we're going to see a grand final, you know, of the two best teams in the country. And I will say this, we're lucky in Victoria. We've got the best three teams this season.
Yep.
All from Melbourne. So we've got to celebrate that. And this is an occasion where we should celebrate football. So I'm shouting out to Football Victoria. I'm shouting out to all the clubs. I'm shouting out to everyone that plays football socially to really embrace this week and really support these two clubs and come and celebrate and be proud of what both clubs have achieved.
Now Tonchi asked a question earlier on to Goran Lozanovsky, who was one of our guests in the first part of the show there about the games this weekend for NPL State League football. Have you heard anything from Football Victoria on that, Chris? Whether the games are going to be rescheduled to allow spectators to be able to come to the game? Because if you look at the NPL, there's 3 games in the evening there on Saturday.
Yeah.
There's all the other games that go on in the afternoon. It would be criminal if there wasn't something done to allow, as you said, football fans to go and watch this grand final.
Yeah, look, I've got a personal view on that. Growing up, I recall that we always used to have the grand final weekend off, irrespective of where the game was played, unless I've got that wrong. But I remember as a youngster, whenever the NSL was on, we would cancel that round, would be free junior and senior football. So that's my personal view. Now, is Football Victoria going to do that? I mean, I'll reach out to them. I'm sure the leagues will reach out to them. And if you ask me, I think we should. And it's about creating that unity and saying, guys, let's celebrate football this week. Either try and work around it and move games from, you know, Saturday to Friday or to Sunday and make it work, or give everyone an opportunity to, you know, postpone and, you know, do it at a later stage. But give the kids, give the fans of that play football an opportunity to come and support and see, you know, what the A-League's about. And you're going to see the best two teams on show. So if anyone's listening and anyone has got the power to change these things, I think we do it for the good of the game. And if we have that mentality, I think only football is going to benefit.
Yeah. Thanks to Brenton Ray. Thanks to Brenton Ray, who if you guys don't want to tune in and watch Steve, Tonchi, or Craig, I'll tell you what, just tune in for Brenton's comments. They're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant.
They're better than our content.
He says, listen to this. It's the first time since 1998 that it's been an all Melbourne grand final. And what a travesty that would be if the powers that be didn't at least move the NPL, NPL2, NPL3, any games like that to an earlier time slot.
That's coming from a Melbourne Victory fanatic.
And that's coming from a Melbourne Victory fanatic. Correct. Yep. Correct.
Which says a lot. You know, if he is a Melbourne Victory fan, I applaud him and I agree with him. And you know why? He's got the benefit of football at heart. And that's what we all should be doing. The people that love football always put football first and then you put your club second, which is the best way to be.
Absolutely. Now, Chris, just one really quick question to finish off on a very serious one. If the club, the team is maybe a couple of goals up in the 92nd minute, could you tell Johnny to maybe stick Dia on just for the end of the game, perhaps to wrap up the proceedings maybe?
Yeah, that would be great. Look, one area that I stay in my lane. I don't influence decisions, but, you know, I get the sentiment. You know, Alessandro has been... what can I say about the man? You know, he's come to our country, embraced our culture, embraced our values. taught us a lot of things at Western United. Been a great captain, been a great person, and football's has its highs and lows and is terrible sometimes. Yeah, you get into a grand final and there's going to be a few boys missing out, and I think Neil said it. We're a people first club, so we get around all the boys and all our families, and for me that's the heart, and we've got a lot of heart at our club, and it's challenging, but Alessandro is a true leader, and he'll be there with the boys to the 93rd minute, even if he's not on the pitch. He's a true champion.
Good on you, Chris. On that note, we're going to wish you all the very best, and thank you once again for coming on the show. You are always welcome, and you certainly, at a drop of a hat, always agree to come on. So we thank you so much for that. It's going to be a big week for yourself, for Melbourne, for Western United, and for Melbourne football in general, for all football fans, as you said. So we certainly are going to revel in every single moment, and we hope you certainly do.
Thanks a lot, guys, and thanks for the support, and I love what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Chris.
Good on
and
you,
look
Chris.
forward to a great result on Saturday evening, mate. We'll all be there, I'm sure.
Good on you.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Thanks.
Chris PEHLIVANIS, the CEO of Western United. Gents, we're going to take a very, very, very quick commercial break. When we return, we'll wrap up tonight's show, and what a big show it's been. Don't go away, folks.
George's on Vista is in the heart of Fraser Rise. You'll find us at Caroline Springs George Cross. Looking for a bit of fun with your meals? Tuesday night is bingo night. Bingo books are $2, eyes down at $7. And we have a special bingo menu for you to choose from, so be sure to get in early and grab a bite to eat beforehand. Friday night is poker night. Registration is from 6:30 p.m, with poker starting at 7:30 p.m. Why not join us beforehand for happy hour? Kicks off at 5:30. We're also on Uber Eats, so you can enjoy your favourite Georgie's meals in the comfort of your own home. Find us on the app. Dining in? Be sure to book your table to avoid disappointment. Bookings can be made via our website, georgiesonvista.com.au.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. Just very, very quickly, gents, a big night of EPL, of a final day fixtures. 1 a.m. our time, the big games that obviously everyone will be watching, Liverpool versus Wolves and Man City versus Aston Villa for the top of the table clash. But then also down the bottom, Burnley versus Newcastle and Brentford versus Leeds. That's going to be a huge one. The grand final next week, Saturday night, 7:45 p.m. kickoff. Members pre-sale opens tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. and then tickets on sale to the general public from 5 p.m. So it is going to be a huge week. And, gents, let's strap ourselves. Big game on Tuesday night as well. The catch-up game for the NPL. Oakley taking on the Melbourne Knights. And then a huge, huge weekend of football next weekend.
Absolutely, Tonchi. And well done to our Matildas player, Ali Carpenter, who won the Women's Champions League in Europe last night against Barcelona for her team, Olympic Lyonnais, but unfortunately suffered a knee injury, and we hope and pray that it's not a serious, not an ACL injury that could affect the preparations for next year's World Cup or even rule her out of it, which would be an absolute travesty. And Socceroo Bailey Wright as well with Sunderland, who were famous in that documentary we all watched during lockdown, getting the promotion final win last night as well, which is great to see.
Finally, and that's a club. You talk about huge football clubs in Leeds United. That is a huge club, Sunderland, and great to see them back in the Championship next season. And finally, Tonch, Australia Cup National Round 32 is being drawn on Wednesday. But for the Victorian ones, round 7 cup draw tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m.
Can't wait.
There's some
so much going on.
Some big games in there. Some State League One clubs. I think there's 3 State League One clubs, and the rest are NPL. So they'll all be looking forward to that tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock.
Looking for some giant killers. Yep. Thank you, folks, for joining us this evening. It's been a massive show. Steve and I will be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Yossi and I will be back this week on Tuesday, the new time slot just for this week, with the Oscro Soccer Show. So lots of football action coming your way. Thank you for being a part of it. Good night, and we'll see you again next Sunday for the big grand final show of the Football Out West show. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.